Good morning, everybody. Go ahead and get this started. Good morning. All right, let's check the data. Hourly earnings were up. Hold on, let me go ahead and put this on screen for a moment. Apologize if this blinds you for a second. I wish I could make some of these data pages dark mode. There we go. All right, so the data, hourly earnings up slightly. Participation rate up slightly. We'll have to check that. Keep saying my OBS is disconnecting. Weird. Okay. Just close some of this random stuff. Okay. Turn off the heat map. Okay. We got 15 minutes until open. Let's go ahead and just check everything really quick. I want to look at the DXY. I know everything looks bullish right now, but that doesn't exactly mean that is the case. DXY did pull down from that 97.27, so that is positive. Bitcoin responding positively to the news. BlackRock responding positively. Yen is seeing strength, moving up towards the 60 point, so that's really good. Gold still working on reclaiming its support. Silver should be doing the exact same thing. Just double check. Yep, silver is claiming its 5 mah up to the 20 mah, so that's what we talked about, how very likely we would see that 80 plus range very, very soon. That's how you get there. Let's check semiconductors. Very positive so far on the news. And this is getting very close to having another upper Bollinger move. Seeing how we actually rejected all these upper Bollinger moves the last previous times, could be a pretty decent move coming here. The only issue is with semiconductors is that all the moving averages are really pulled down pretty far compared to the actual price right now, so can lead to some consolidating before we see the actual move. Let's check the USD JPY. Doing very good. We want to see this truly in around the 140, 130 range, but this is pulling back pretty well. VIX jumping nicely. I did yesterday at 16.99. Bull index moving up nicely. BVIX, if this buying continues, very likely we'll see underneath that $98 range today, which would be very bullish. Let's check TLT. Makes a lot of sense. TLT shouldn't be doing very well on this news. QQQ. We should see the 5 mah pulling not above the 10 mah and 20 mah yet, but it will be around that. 609, 611 range. So we're not out of the woods yet in terms of tech, but we're starting to break this consolidation pretty heavily. We are going to be seeing the 10 mall moving downward just a little bit lower, but if we can pull our price back up here for at least another 2 to 3 sessions, then we will be seeing the 10 mall slowly starting to pull back up over the 20 mall, 5 mall crossing the 10 mall and the 20 mall, and that will be bullish again. Let's check the SPY. And the same deal on the SPY, except if you remember the last few sessions I've been talking about, where out of tech, semiconductors, and the S&P, it was always QQQ that took the brunt of the weight. Well, QQQ has to do the most recovery from that weight as well. Um, a lot of these moving averages on semiconductors and SPY will move up a lot quicker than QQQs, so we just have to be very cautious of that. Morning. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, these job numbers aren't exactly bullish for the market, which is very surprising. Let's actually just bring up the CME. Wow. Yeah, the odds of a rate cut. Let me go ahead and pull this up for everybody so you can see. So the odds of a rate cut for March went from basically yesterday 20% down to 6%. So the job numbers was not a bullish thing at all for rate cuts. If the market is still set on a rate cut path rather than trying to, I don't know, I guess they've been for a really long time trying to have, um, think of the word, basically the bounce where it doesn't cause a recession, doesn't cause any major issues for the economy. And that's what a lot of this data, I think, is really alluding to, is having that bounce rather than, um, everyone jumping on the path that we need to cut rates, we need to cut rates, we need to cut rates. Now, in terms of a dead cat bounce, not so sure about that. We are seeing, let's check liquid. That will tell us. Okay, so yeah, liquid is down in the morning, so that can be definitely a signal that this is not good for the market. So let's take the narrative of a dead cat bounce here. Okay, let's go to SPY. Just check structurally. Market opens in 8 minutes. Should be prepared for it. So it's really hard to look at this and say that they want to do a dead cat bounce here. Um, Sorry for all these drawings. Let's see. Delete that one and delete that one, and we can delete that arrow. So this pile of liquidity really matches up with what we have building right here. And we're also building upward right on top of this consolidation channel. And again, I haven't moved this channel for probably weeks and weeks and weeks now. So they've been really bouncing right off of almost to the penny of that channel. 5 minute time frame shows a little more than a penny, but you understand the point. It does look like they're trying to build support upward. A lot of this structure looks like a push structure. We have just for what we filled this morning, We have a cup built, so that's singular micro part of the structure. We have now this inverse head and shoulders liquidity going on here. So on the 30-minute time frame, that's very strong. Um, Especially with this micro cup right here. This is kind of where I think you can get this dead cat bounce, where we finished out the cup. Now we need to come down and build the handle before continuing higher. But let's check QQQ because I think QQQ would tell very good story. And we're going to just ignore some of these channels for now. Seeing a lot of the same thing here on QQQ. See that cup got filled. From that cup filling, very, very likely see some downside. Let's go ahead and just make the Bollinger Bands to this. So we have about 5 minutes until the open. 6 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. If we pull back up into the upper Bollinger on the 5 minute time frame, that should be a very, very quality short down towards this middle Bollinger. I would not be trying to short below that. Can it be possible? Absolutely, but again, we do have this built cup here. With this built cup, this middle Bollinger range really looks like where they're going to take that handle bottom, start building liquidity, and head back upward again. Oh, nobody can see right now? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's go over the SPY really quick. Jeez Louise. Okay, 30-minute time frame. Turn off Bollingers. Okay. All right. This is why I was thinking that so far this doesn't look good for a dead cat bounce. Okay. We have a ton of structure in here that's showing bullishness. The structure today, finish this cup out right here. From that finished cup, see, can we see? All right, we'll talk about setting up a hedge and everything. Just 1 second. So I just want to cover this really quick because we have 5 minutes until open. Thought I covered it, but I had the screen blocked. Okay, cup built. That's bullish. From this cup, we should expect this is where you get your dead cat bounce. Okay, top of the cup has been hit. Very likely you're going to pull downward before pushing back up. Now we are above this upper um collateral or this upper consolidation channel, and we've been building support almost to the penny. Granted, on the 5 minute time frame, a little bit different, but on the 30-minute time frame, it is almost to the penny, and I have not moved that channel in weeks and weeks and weeks. So it looks like they're trying to really build this liquidity right here. Okay, and the reason why they would want to do that is to push upward. Now, dead cat bounce. Okay, this is likely the dead cat bounce in here, where we have this cup filled out. Very, very, very likely form some form of bear structure up at the top. Pull down, that wipe out majority of the bulls that entered from yesterday that don't know how the cup and handle works. From that, and let's check the actual Bollinger Bands. If we get a push into the upper Bollinger in the 5 minute time frame, that's a very, very, very good short. Okay, you would take that short all the way towards the middle Bollinger on the 5 minute time frame. I would not short below that. Again, the reason why is because this is a cup. This is a bullish structure. The odds of this turning into a bearish structure can happen, but it's fairly low. Okay, so I wouldn't be shorting for that. You short the top of the cup in case you get that bearish structure, but you short it for the handle. Okay, so that's going to be the first real scalp of the day if we get the opportunity set here. Again, we have 3 minutes until open. Really not seeing the entry just yet. Let's check on socks and QQQ. Same thing on socks. If we do push into that upper Bollinger, that's going to be a very, very good entry for a short today. And again, you're just shorting for the middle Bollinger. You're not trying to short, the entire world right now. Let's check QQQ. Should be holding pretty much the exact same structure. Apologize, I'm blind. Bear with me. Okay, QQQ, same thing. So I don't think we're going to dump right at the open. I do think we try to push upward towards that upper Bollinger. Very, very likely trying to form a head and shoulders in here before pulling down towards that mid band. Oops. And then heading back up. Sorry, these drawings are super messy, but you understand the concept here. Now, many of us do have calls, so we have a whole minute before we start, so let's kind of talk about that. The top of this cup here that we're talking about on SPY and everything, you absolutely should be hedging your end of the week calls. Um, whether if they're end of the month calls, doesn't matter. This is a very, very strong place to hedge. So that just means taking a put against your call contracts just in case we start crashing. Okay. Um, I'm not in the thesis that we will crash, but again, the market is the market. It will do what it wants. Let's go ahead and check the 5 minute. Really looking for that push upward before shorting here. But we do see the ADL pulling downward. Here's that push. Really look for that push to enter that short. Still just let it push. And I'm going to be starting to enter my shorts pretty much any second now. So, okay, slowly entering. It still can push upward a little bit further. If it does push upward a little bit further, we will be, um, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. We will be DCing our puts very, very slightly. Yeah, be prepared for this downside. It looks like it's coming, everybody. Let's check the VVIX. Should be seeing it pushing upward very, very slightly here. We are. It's up at the 101.57. Starting to pull down slightly. I'm not super, super concerned about that just yet. And again, on this short right now, this is a bullish short. Okay, so we're only taking it towards that mid band. The mid band currently is at the 695. Very, very likely we'll be pulling towards that 694 range. That's really when you want to exit. Okay. If you have runners, let them run if there's the availability to, but really that's your scalp in there. You want from the upper Bollinger to the mid band. That's just the safest way to do it. Even if it doesn't become the largest scalp in the world, it's still something, so that's what we take. Continuing to see the ADL pull down. Let's go ahead and check the VVIX again. Pulled down slightly, but it is pulling upward again. Pulling downward. We do have a micro cup right here, which can allude to, again, pulling down to form a handle. I do expect this cup to invalidate though, because I do expect this 20-minute band to really be pushed on. Seeing our downside. Let's check the VVIX again. Still a little weak up in here, but granted, it's still within this 98 plus range, which does mean that there is selling going on, but it is tapering slightly, so we just have to be careful. But this does kind of allude to the bullish short rather than, just shorting too short. Okay, we should get our level very soon here. Once we do start really pushing down, we'll be taking a look at liquid, HIG, some of our more important instruments here. Okay, we are getting the push down, so let's go ahead and start looking at everything. Let's take a look at the HIG. HIG is seeing a little selling. It's not anything super concerning, but a little bit of selling. Let's check at liquid. Liquid is starting to buy the bottom a little bit, so nothing too major, but we're not seeing massive selling in here yet. Let's check. SPY continuing downward, looking good. Let's check SOX. SOX almost pushed to the upper Bollinger, so again, that was a quality short right there. TLT is seeing some weight regain, so a little concerning seeing how this data was very unsupportive of the long end yield. BVIX still calming down a little bit. Previous cup here just got invalidated like I talked about. This small cup right here. The handle did invalidate it, so that's exactly what we're looking for. This is very likely how we will get our mid-band push. Starting to push down even further. Let's check the yen. The Bank of Japan has been unwinding over the last 2 days, by the way. Just be very, very aware of that. So, even though we are seeing the yen and the dollar and the USD JPY pairings looking a lot better, the Bank of Japan still has been unwinding into a lot of our buying. So that's why a lot of our push upward has just been really halted. Our exit is coming soon. Take a look at the VVIX one last time. Still at the 168. Still looking very good for that push down. We should get it. Now I'm going to start putting a stop loss on my puts here. This is just purely to secure profit, just in case things do turn bullish. I do have some of my puts closing out now, not all of them, but just a few. Again, we really should anticipate a push to this middle band or below. Okay, so you still have room on your puts. I would not be closing all of them. How I do it is I try to close a tiny bit before the actual hit, close a lot at the actual hit, and then leave some runners after the fact. This way we just secure profit across the board. We make sure we lock in our profits on our scalps. The most important thing is that you don't want to be losing money on scalps. Scalps are meant to help pad some of the profit in your account compared to some of the longer trades. So you really don't want to be burning a lot of money on scalps. You don't want scalps just wiping your account here. QQQ, pushing that mid band, very, very good. Now we do have to be concerned that, again, this mid-band push can turn positive fairly quickly. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of our instruments, especially liquid. IG is starting to buy up slightly in the actual time and sales in the shares. I do see in only a single large order for a sell. I see no large buying orders yet, so take that for what it is. Liquid still seeing a little weakness in here. So we are still seeing a little bit of hesitancy from our high grade and high yield corporate bond stuff. Generally, the corporate bonds are one of the first instruments to really be touched when it comes to selling, because obviously you're not going to be wanting to buy corporate bonds if the market's going to be selling off at the top. So Socks looking really good. This is telling me that there's still a decent amount of room to short in here. I don't really expect socks to push up prior to that. It can happen. SPY, we're starting to get a lot of our exit. As you can see, the 20 MA is still pulling upward. That is a bullish thing, even though the price is pretty much right at that level. With the 20 MA pushing upward, that's closing the room on how much lower the short can go. Unless, of course, obviously, if the price pushes down, then that will push the 20 MA down with it. As you can see, QQQ, the 20 MA is still holding fairly strong here. Let's check the VVIX again. We should be seeing... Okay, so it is at 101.32, so not tapering off yet. So the shorts are not out of this. QQQ still working on some support on the mid band. Ethereum not doing so well, Bitcoin not doing so well, but we did talk about how Bitcoin has this cup. Um, Extremely likely we see, yeah, there's the story for Bitcoin. Very likely this is a buying range. I would not anticipate this pulling all the way down to that lower Bollinger and, canceling out this bullish cup. This is pretty much right at that support, so I don't see this as a bear structure. This does look like a buy for Bitcoin, which means that coin is actually a scalp today. Um, Let me take a look at the contracts and see what we got going on for that. It's a little bit more expensive. I'm not going to personally take it just yet, but the 160 call for the end of the week is about $440 right now. Very, very large upside to this. Okay, if this moves like I think it does, um, that contract would be worth around 700 to $900 at the end of it, potentially more. So if you're wanting to engage on that one, that is a potentially good play. Let's check DXY. pulling downward. That's exactly what we want to see. It looks like it's not pulling downward, but in the grand scheme of morning, it is. So that is good. FXY still holding strong. I'm not too concerned about the yen right now. If we see it pull back down below this 90 or this 59 range, that becomes a concern, but at the current point, it's not a major concern. Let's check our metals. Metals are doing okay. Just looks like testing of the mid band more, creating a cup and handle. Gold looks really good to push all-time highs again. Let's check the SPY, and then we'll check the VVIX again. SPY is giving us our exit still. So make sure you guys are taking it if you're, in those shorts. Don't try to short below. Now, VVIX is tapering, but it's still strong. I'm waiting a little bit on entering calls on the upside. Um, I do still want to see a little more strength before we do so. This can be a bounce off of this 20, off its mid band on the 5-minute time frame. I am looking for this to push a little bit below that. I do believe QQQ is seeing some strength there, but we do still have SOX, which has been just pushing. Granted, that can happen, but I'm really looking for semiconductors to cool down just a little bit here. Let's check the HIG. HIG's still buying. It doesn't look like that with the candles, but with it holding its weight and with the share sales over here, I know you can't see it. I need to edit the screen so that you can. There's actually massive, massive, massive buys going on. There's actually a buy for 472,000 shares. So absolutely huge buying going on in the HIG. In liquid, we're also seeing very large buys. We have a 10,000 share buy here, 6,000 share buy. No major or share sells in that yet. Check Oracle. Oracle completed that really nice cup. Came down pretty low today. That would have been a really nice call entry. Let's check. SPY is bouncing a little bit. I'm not wanting to engage calls here yet, though. You can. I really want to be patient here. Again, with scalps, you can take your time on scalps. That's the thing. You don't have to sit here and force anything. You can wait until you see something that is very, very easy to take. Just like those puts at the top. Super easy trade. Very, very simple. No need to force anything. If we push up on socks here, I would be trying to short this, just to let you know. Very likely that will be some of the push downward that I'm expecting under these 20 mob bands for QQQ and SPY. So I am expecting semiconductors to taper out a little bit here. They are pushing pretty hard. I actually think this might give us an opportunity at some cheap Soxel calls. Okay, so this might be a really cheap scalp for today. Hold on, I'm gonna look at the options, see if I can find anything interesting. Well, I don't think we're gonna get enough movement on Sox to hit the $2 strike. However, The current $1.5 strike is $18. Those should definitely move up towards that 22-ish range if I'm correct about the price action. So I am going to be taking a couple of these at 18. By couple, I am taking just a few. Now again, for these calls, we're only looking for the mid band and not on stocks, but on the actual semiconductor ETF itself. So what we're doing with SOX S here with those calls, again, I bought the 2.5, or not the 2.5 calls, the 1.5 strike calls for this week. What that is saying is within SOX S that we will be seeing a push downward into semiconductors. This is an inverse ETF, so calls are shorting essentially. Um, we're just looking for this mid band. Okay, we have a solid $8 range here from where we hit the short. So very likely again the 356.91. I do anticipate that to push downward a little bit more, but that should be a very, very great position to take right there. Go ahead and see liquid. A little bit of selling, but still the buys are heavily outweighing the sells. In the HIG, we are starting to see a little bit of selling. So again, this is always a major concern when we see selling. Granted, it really hasn't gone anywhere, but this is something we do want to keep our eye on. If this starts picking up the selling here, then this will allude to larger equity selling. We have our DXY pulling down. This is a good thing for equities. Let's check the yen. Should be fine still. Yep, it is going upward. It is moving fine. Check the SPY. Still chopping at our level. That's perfect. Let's check semiconductors. Still chopping, but we do want that push downward. My Soxus calls are up $3 each so far, so it is working. I'll be back in just a couple minutes, but what we're watching for again is that mid band. Um, you're not really looking for more than a push downward to that mid band. For scalps, we just play it very, very safe. So I'll be right back, everybody. Just 2 minutes. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I needed coffee. Anyway, still looking at that. Let me look at Apple. We are seeing heavy consolidation with an Apple. This is fine. This is something you buy into. I don't even need the moving averages to see that. So this is a pretty much the most bullish structure you can look for, and I'm going to show you a couple reasons why. Okay, forget this cup and handle. You didn't see that, but just going off of the moving averages or the Bollinger Bands, you had your lower Bollinger mechanics kick in here. Okay, now every time on Apple, and let's just go ahead and that will work. Every time we see Apple hit the lower Bollinger, what tends to happen? A lot of buying to the upside. A lot of buying to the upside. a lot of buying to the upside. Okay. Now, we do have that micro cup that I did highlight earlier. However, that micro cup builds into a larger cup here. Okay. So that's truly what you're looking for. And not only that, you're looking for a push above the cup to form bearish structure. From that push above the cup, then you can look for a handle pushing to the upside. The consolidation has been heavy. However, you can see that it is aiming upward. It is trying to pull upward. The goal of this is still trying to head upward. Just been slow, but it does look good. It does look like it is wanting to truly push for those all-time highs. I would not get an end of the week contract. This is more of probably about 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out for that type of move. So just be aware of that. And the next thing to be aware of is that with this upper Bollinger move occurring right here, on top of this micro cup, and I'm going to delete some of this other structure for a moment just so that we can see this a little better. But we should be expecting top of this cup to actually give us some downside. Okay, so do I expect the downside all the way to the 20 ma? Not really. But with our moving averages, we see the 5 mile here being slightly rejected. I would be looking very, very closely at the 10 mile range and the 50 mile range for a call to the upside. Um, if you're super, super lucky, Apple will push down to that 20 mile and give you a very, very quality call to the upside. I don't really anticipate that though. I do expect closer to the 10 mile, 20 mile, or the 10 mile, 50 mile range. Um, just be aware of that. But with this cup being completed, the anticipation should be that we should be seeing downside. We saw a very quality and extended upper Bollinger move here, which also alludes to further downside. So, um, bullish on Apple, but you do need to wait for that handle to build, or else you're really going to be in some hurt with those contracts that you open right now. Now let's go ahead and take a look at stocks again. Let's see how our short position is doing. SPY is doing well. Stocks still giving us a little bit of a headache, but not too worried about that. It has been pulling away from that upper Bollinger. Very, very likely we do see this 20 ma test occur. And again, that's when we will be exiting our short positions on semiconductors. You can hold runners to try to push down further. I'm personally not going to. I just want to take the easy trade and be out. Oh yeah, that's right. A lot of the mags changed their contracts to have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now, which is very confusing. Um, very likely I'm still going to be focusing a lot on the weekly contracts rather than doing any sort of short type things. Now, this does open up a lot of really interesting trades for Thursday into Friday expiry contracts. So that is something we will be starting to engage on a lot more. Now, I do want to look at the banking sector. We have CRE. CRE looks very good. It's within a cup and handle, so this downside very likely is going to be bought up, which also again alludes to the short positions currently being bullish rather than bearish. We do see a lot of bullish structure within the overall market, so um, I'm not expecting a massive sell down. I do expect this to be more like a dead cat bounce, but the bounce into the handle, into the actual bounce upward. So HIG still going very well. FXY still gaining weight. That's bullish. DXY still pulling downward. Now, granted, the DXY is only going to be moving in a few cents at a time. it may not seem like this is pulling downward right here. However, the DXY has been trading at the basically 100 to 98 range for basically since what, 2022? Something like that. Um, this being below 97 is a blessing. So, we're still pulled down on the dollar. It's not going upward here, even if the cents are moving up just slightly. Bitcoin still struggling. Now, the good thing with Bitcoin, and here's really what we're looking at here, is this 66.3. It does look like you're building support here. Okay, the support built from here would be a very, very strong move upward. Okay, definitely looking for that. If this breaks down further, and I'm not so concerned about this breaking down below this cup. What I'm looking for is it breaking down below the lower Bollinger, very, very extended. That would be a concern, but still, this looks like a bounce to me, just between the dollar, the FXY, seeing the HIG. Let's go back to the HIG. And I want to see liquid. Liquid has still been doing fine. Go ahead and check SOX and see. Okay, our short entry is coming up here at the 357.63. Um, again, what I try to do, and this does depend on how many contracts you have, but I do close some of my contracts right before the level, still holding weight. It says my OBS disconnected. Hopefully you guys can still see the screen. I don't know why it's been doing that lately. DVIX here, still very strong, still very elevated. I do believe it will hold this elevated posture until we see semiconductors really hit that support level we're looking for. Still pushing down. This is looking good. Let me open my phone and check the SOX contracts. They are up 22% so far, so that's nice. Yeah, so likely these contracts we got at the 0.18, 0.19 should sell for about 0.27, maybe even 0.31. Really just depends on how far of a push downward we do get. Let's check the QQQ. Still pushing downward. This is again still alluding to our bullish push upward. Yes, this is pushed below the 20 mod on the 5-minute time frame. However, we're starting to get very, very close to this lower Bollinger, and that lower Bollinger is very well above the bottom of the cup. So this does look very bullish. This looks like the type of trade where you're going to buy the lower Bollinger on calls and see almost the entire selling filled to the upside. Looks very, very strong. SOX, make sure you're watching for that exit. Probably going to keep the, yeah, we're going to keep it here right now just because it is starting to drop quite heavily. We will be looking for an exit fairly soon here. Okay, and many of you should be starting to close some of these put positions, okay? Yep, just let them take your puts. I have all of mine placed at 0.23, and I also have some placed at 0.27. I'm really anticipating pretty much all of them selling at that 0.23, maybe catching some at the 0.27. And we wait. Let's check the VVIX really quick. Still pushing upward. That should suggest we should hit our level pretty much any second now. So really looking for a small push below that. Let's check QQQ. We're getting our lower Bollinger push here. So the exit from those SOX calls are going to be entries into QQQ. Once we get the exit, any moment now. Not seeing a bounce here yet, so we should be fine. Just continue holding until we get our exit correctly. VVIX pushed upward slightly more. Just a few more cents and we should exit. Come on. Okay, there we go. So my contracts are being cut off now. Perfect. Perfecto. Okay. Now we're going to start looking for the QQQ entry. Okay. And for this QQQ entry, you want TQQQ calls. Okay, because we want to capture the end of the week. Now, the 52 calls are still fairly cheap here. And I have exited all of my SOX puts. And we are now into the 52 calls for the end of the week on TQQ. And that should really solidify the day for everybody. Okay, that should be a good day for everybody. We should have had a very nice trade overall. I got 52 TQQ calls set up. Should get that push upward. And we're buying at the lower Bollinger of the QQQ. Looks very good. Again, we have a lot of cup and handle structure throughout pretty much the entirety of Tech and SPY. SPY is looking very quality in here. Let's check SOX. We got our level. Looking for a bounce from here. The alternative would be that SOX just dumps all the way down towards the lower Bollinger. I don't anticipate that, but it can happen. Just be aware of it. QQQ again. Really, really, really love this entry. I think it's very, very good. Liquid is starting to buy up. Let's check the HIG. HIG is still seeing a little bit of weakness. Nothing too crazy yet though. It's a concern, but not a concern just yet. If we start hitting the $80.20 range, then I'd be very, very concerned. But being above the 80.50 is a very positive sign for me. FXY continuing to push upward. That's again, a bullish sign. DXY still pushing down. That again is a bullish sign. Bitcoin did push down to that lower Bollinger. That does become a very strong buying opportunity. And even within coin, We see that happening. I know that some entered at that 53 or 153, 154 range. You are down slightly. I would still not be majorly concerned about this just yet. And overall, a lot of the market signals are telling me that we are going to be seeing a bounce from these sells going on. TLT buying up a little bit, but nothing major. Let's check the VVIX. It is elevated still. I am looking for this to start pulling down pretty soon here, so if that does not, that might change our position slightly, but I do really expect that to start pushing down pretty soon. We see the VIX today is very, very low. I know it's pushed up since that 1675, so technically it's up almost $1. However, this has still been drastically just dropping over the last few sessions, and really we're looking for that push down towards that 15, 14-ish range. See the 10-year yield. Of course, that's very expected. We had that pull upward on the news today. Check the SPY. SPY entry is looking very, very good right now in terms of the calls. Again, same with QQQ. Looks very good on the call side. Liquid still buying upward. Positive sign. HIG seeing a little tapering. It was selling downward a little bit, but we just saw a little bit of a buy happen. FXY still continuing upward. DPST, I'm really looking to have this push upward today, and this can actually be a very, very strong trade. This is a leveraged, um, based off of CRE, the regional banking index. So if you're expecting bullishness, then this will pay massively. I've had massive, massive, massive wins on DPST. So um, this could become a very strong buy for an end of the week contract or even a 2-week contract. Gold is still looking very good, taking the levels that we wanted. Check Amazon. Amazon's struggling a little bit. But it's still been a very quality buy since that lower Bollinger. So I really mentioned when we took those contracts, really try to get them for a couple weeks out rather than just like the end of the week. Yeah, we saw the dead cat bounce coming. Check the VVIX, still moving upward. VIX finally green. So we are getting a little bit of volatility going on. VIG is selling off slightly. I'm wondering if this is the Bank of Japan unwinding slightly. because we've been seeing the FXY moving up the entire morning. And we've also been seeing treasuries after that first initial move down. They've been moving upward, which is one of the main signals that the Bank of Japan is unwinding because they do try to buy US treasuries when they unwind. Now, I'm still going to be holding those 2QQ calls going. Um, Again, I'm still looking at the overall bullish structure. We have the 5 mile at the 608.55, so technically we're in the upper bounds of the 5 mile right now. This can be a 5 mile test. Again, we have not really had a quality 5 mile test in a few sessions now. It looks like we had a 5 mile test on the 9th, but we actually just kind of traveled through that range entirely. So really this can be that 5 mile test before the further push. Overall, I am still bullish. I am still not seeing massive signals that a major sell-off is coming. Um, I would still be anticipating HIG to be dropping quite a bit more than it is right now. When we do see selling in equities, generally HIG will be dropping massively. Um, Not seeing that yet. We are not seeing FXY starting to drop or anything, so that's not selling risk I'm really looking at so far. Stocks, we did get that push down to the lower Bollinger, but we are starting to see some support gained. Let's check the VVIX again. Still extremely elevated. It did pull up to that 104.23. It's at the 104 range right now. Again, that's a dangerous range we don't want to be in. Let's check the SPY. This is definitely a concern, but it can be also a very good thing if this becomes a major support. Okay. Um, these consolidation channels, again, if we're within the channel, and let me change to a different time frame so we can actually see off the moving averages. But these consolidation channels generally like to trade all the way from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top. So when we push into the ranges very barely, to me, it looks like, okay, that's a support trying to pull out of that range rather than, okay, we're going to be pulling down all the way through this consolidation channel again. Um, it can happen. As you can see, these consolidation channels really do like to have strong movements within them, but this still does look like a lot of support is being built here, rather than this is turning into, um, the new top of the market, and then we're going to be selling down into that consolidation channel. I'm not seeing that just yet. It does look like that this is trying to build support here rather than trying to, continue a major sell downward. That can change, but so far that's what I'm seeing. BVIX still elevated. We have oil elevated a little bit today. We are seeing Bitcoin starting to buy the bottom Bollinger a little bit, so that's very good. That's exactly what we were looking for. DXY still coming down. This is a very positive thing for the market. The HIG is still holding that same level. Very good. Check liquid. I can find the L because I'm blind. Liquid has been buying upward. The time and sales on the shares is massively in favor of buys to sells. Let's check the ES here. The ES is looking very good off of that lower Bollinger bounce. Looking very strong so far. Now, QQQ is the one that's giving me a little bit of difficulty here just because it did break this prior cup right here. Um, we did talk about that concern though, because we did have the prior cup broken over here as well. So can this be forming a selling trend? It can, but I really don't see those signals yet. That will change if, obviously we get continued selling from this range. If a lot of these bullish structures continue breaking down, that will change the situation. But so far, I'm really not seeing it just yet. VVIX still elevated, so this is still telling you that um, big money is insuring their equities. Every time this is moving up, the insurance rate is going up. So um, that's why I like to watch the VVIX so much. It's not like the VIX in terms of having to insure with calls. BlackRock selling off a little bit. Um, so far, it does look like they're trying to buy up the bottom of that Bollinger so far. DXY still looking good. FXY looking good. Liquid still fine. QQQ still a bit sketchy. But again, I still like this buying range. I'm sticking by that right now. Socks we are pushing down further. Hopefully we will see the bounce at the lower Bollinger. This is really the one that we're looking for to bounce here. Because again, out of QQQ, SPY and everything, it was QQQ that had the most weight to lose or gain. But SOX has been pushed very, very close to the top of its channels on the daily time frame. As you can see, it's very, very close to that upper Bollinger again. Um, this is one we are really looking to pull back, but now that it has pulled back quite a bit, we are starting to look for the upside in it. Upside in this will show upside in SPY, QQQ, everything else. Still seeing the selling in SPY. VVIX still climbing. Yeah, you absolutely should have grabbed puts. I know many of us took puts at the top. We just closed them at the mid band. When I take zero DT stuff, I don't like to sit on it a long time, even if there is the move. Um, Generally it's that first move that's going to pay you the most. It doesn't always happen that way. As you can see with today, that's a very good example with like our success positions with some of the SPY puts. We would have had a lot more, premium to the downside. However, I don't like to risk it. I just like to take the very easy trades that I do see when it comes to scalps because it's just so easy to lose money with scalps. Um, for me, scalps are just a way to pad the account and, make a little bit of side money. It's nothing to make or break the account. If I can make a few hundred, a few thousand during the day on scalps, that's great. That adds to the overall P&L. But I'm not trying to base everything off of the scalps. SOX is starting to buy up a little bit, exactly what we want to see. Let's check the HIG and everything again. HIG is starting to buy up a little bit. Doesn't look like it, but within the actual sales and shares it is. Micron is buying up since the lower Bollinger. Very, very good. QQQ still weak. We'll see about it, but I really still expect the bounce upward today. Let's check socks again. Still looking fine to me. In fact, it's actually a great range to take some of those socks as puts, because that's basically a call to the upside. So with Success being at the 1.8, you can take the $2 puts right now, which are in the money, and you will get quite a bit of premium. As you can see, they pulled all the way to the 1.6 today, so quite a bit of a move right there for a cheaper price. Buy, still seeing that push downward. The VVIX is really starting to fly today. Really starting to become a concern. Oil is doing well. Energy is doing very well. Silver is doing well. Looking for Bitcoin to be bought up. Liquid still holding its weight. Really looking for stocks to start buying up here. Again, I'd be very surprised if this pushes down even further, but really looking for that range to be bought up. Because the buying in that stocks would take SPY, QQQ, all of this selling pressure would pretty much let up. We'll see if the VVIX tapers out here or not. USD JPY still dropping, so again, this is still showing that some of that unwinding action is occurring. Yeah, if I don't see major signals that there's going to be a sell-off here, I'm going to be dip buying pretty hard here in a couple minutes. I'm just not seeing the massive leg down yet. The only concern is that the VVIX is continuing to rise. TLT starting to taper a little bit. QQ still pushing down. Well, we'll see if we get a taper on the VVIX. If not, then this is going to tell us that they're going to continue selling. I'm not going to be cutting the TQQ calls yet. Again, I'm still not entirely set that this is going to be the sell-off that everyone might think it might be. Check the hit. Liquid. Liquid is buying up. Yeah, I'm going to go into dip buying mode. I don't really suggest fully following me on that. Definitely trade safe rather than buying calls on major selling like this, but I'm gonna do so. So I'm looking for the VVIX to pull back, and I am looking for, let's see, Hold on, I want to open some of those $2 puts on socks. Okay, so I bought some of those socks as puts. I bought more of the TQQ calls, again for the end of this week. I'm still bullish overall on seeing a bounce upward. Really, we just need to see the VVIX pullback. That's the main thing on the day that we need to see. We're not really seeing defensives being entered, which is, another signal for me that that's telling me that very likely a lot of this cash that's being pulled out of the market right now is extremely likely to go right back into it. Um, Generally, when you see cash moving from, some of these more risk-on sectors to some of the safer stuff, then that's the major concern. We just have not been seeing that this morning. Nvidia may be catching some support here, and this would still fit within that cup and handle on Nvidia as well. So definitely look for the support at the bottom there. That can become a really great end of the week call. I would just do like the 190 strike. That would cover it perfectly if we do get the bounce. Seeing a lot of buying starting to happen within the shares. Let's check Oracle. We do want to see Oracle bounce here. That is a major one for the market, for semiconductors especially. QQQ starting to build that support there. It did drop quite a bit below where we anticipated it, but it is starting to build that support. Silver is still looking good. SPY slowly starting to build that support at the bottom. Looking very good so far. Let's see the VVIX. Still elevated. Again, we do need this to taper off. That is of utmost importance that this tapers down. It really needs to pull down towards that 102, 101 range again to really signal that um, the buying will be even available. Okay. Three holding its weight. Big has been buying upward. Great if Google could find some support in here. We're seeing, it looks like Bitcoin slowly finding its support at the bottom there, so that's great. Exactly what we want to see. DXY still holding just fine. Big still buying up. Check liquid. Still slowly buying upward. Check SOX and the SPY. SOX is slowly finding its support. SPY slowly finding some support in here. VIX elevated. EVIX still elevated. Let's check the treasuries. Still seeing a little buying, so this is showing that there is some risk aversion going on in here. I don't exactly know why. The data for today was not strong for the 20-year bond at all. QQQ still looking good. Nvidia still looking good. Micron still looking good. DPST did push down to the 133, but is finding support so far. Seeing a little bit of tapering within the VVIX, but we need a lot more than just a little tapering. We need a lot of tapering. Slowly seeing the buying within QQQ. Slowly seeing the buying within Nvidia. Slowly seeing buying within Google. DXY still doing great. Apple is still just doing fantastic. Coin finally catching some support. Really want to see that sucker back up to 160. FXY still okay. Buy still building support. VVIX is starting to taper. Can we need it to taper a lot more than what it is right now? Bitcoin slowly buying upward. Very good. Good signals overall. Let's check the HIG. The HIG is still buying upward. QQQ starting to really reclaim some of that lost ground. Same with SOX. We can just get SPY above the consolidation channel again. Let's check SPY. SPY just needs to fight for that consolidation channel again and break through. So the 161, or excuse me, the 191, or 691.76. I'm sorry, my numbers just like to mess up on me sometimes. USJPY still going strong. VVIX still pulling down. Seeing a lot of good signals so far for the actual bounce upward, but we do need to see a lot stronger continuation within it. But so far it's looking very good. Right now we're really just watching semiconductors. That's really a lot of the weight that needs to be regained on the day. And the VVIX just needs to continue dropping. Those are really the main signals I'm looking for right now though. So far through a lot of our symbols, we are starting to see some of the support gained. Nvidia is doing well. Frontier is doing well. Yeah, it just needs SPY to bounce above this consolidation channel. Let's check TLT. Really need to be seeing TLT selling off here a little bit. There's no reason for anybody to be buying this right now. Just such a weird buy to take the 20-year end on the data sets we got today. It does not make a lot of sense. Nvidia is still going well. QQ still going well. SPY still going well. Let's check the VVIX. Still tapering out. Good, good. Okay, we're seeing a lot of signals that we want to see. Apple's still strong as heck. AMD can be a very strong end of the week contract for that 220 or even next week. Potentially almost a whole $10 upside. Gold is still doing fine. Pig is still doing fine. Liquid still doing fine. Nvidia is holding. And the SPY is still holding. So as you can see, we haven't been trying to take scalps after some of those first really easy trades. I don't like scalping the trades that aren't easy at all. For example, we could have tried to do a scalp within here. I know we did take a TQQ call for the end of the week in here. A little different than a scalp, but I know that we did get the lower Bollinger pushes, and some of these scalps would have gotten destroyed pretty hard. Um, Usually I don't just like to scalp the open. I do try to scalp the majority of the day if I have the time available. But I only take scalps if it's a very, very, very clear trade for me. I'm not looking to, spend hundreds of dollars just for it to go to zero. It's not my version of fun. EQQ still looking good. And the VVIX still tapering back. Excuse me. Let's check the SPY. So that original cup we had formed on SPY earlier did break. Obviously, that's not bullish. Um, we did get the handle from it though. It's just the handle broke down. So that's how we had the invalidation of the cup and handle there. However, I'm still looking for support to be regained in here. I'm not really looking for this to pull down and form an inverse cup. It can, so just be aware that this can be forming a head and shoulders. This can form an inverse cup to the downside. I'm not really looking for those just yet. It can though, so just keep that in mind. VVIX is still strong right now. It tapered a little bit, but it is pulling back up again. However, we're seeing semiconductors really, really, really gain a lot of weight. Again, it went down all the way to the 351. Now it's all the way almost to the 356 again. So a lot of weight has been regained. QQQ seeing a lot of that weight regained as well. Again, it went all the way to the 607, heading back towards the 611 right now. Liquid is still holding up. EXY is climbing slightly. Still not a major concern area for me, but it is starting to climb a little bit. FXY still doing fine. Oracle's still doing okay. We need to see it bounce a lot more though. And let's check the VVIX again. Yeah, really need to see this taper out. USD JPY doing okay, starting to get a little elevated again. So not really looking for a tech scalp just this moment. It will be a little different if we hit this mid band and we start seeing some major strength from the mid band, then that could be a very easy trade all the way back up to the 617. However, we do need to see QQQ and SPY really allow SPY to break through this upper consolidation range, because if not, then we're not going to be buying today. Again, consolidation ranges are very, very tricky because if you stay below them, then the likelihood is that you're going to be trading from the top of that channel to the bottom. However, again, I'm not with that thesis currently. I do expect a bounce above this consolidation range and to actually reclaim a lot of the selling weight that we did see today. So um, I know the news sets weren't exactly bullish for the market. They actually were opposite. It was hawkish, which generally tends to align with bearish price action. It's just a little strange though, because with today's news, we did see TLT buy upward after having a large drop. That's not normal. This type of news, you generally don't see TLT buying at all. So that's telling me very likely that was the Bank of Japan doing a little bit of unwinding there rather than um, something that we didn't see, right? Let's check socks. Socks is still doing good. Remember, this is the big one we wanted to see a lot of weight regained on the day from. SPY is still chopping. VVIX pulling down, but again, we really do want to see this around the 101, 102 range. Truly, we want it below 98, but that 102, 101 would tell us that they are trying to taper out a lot of this selling. The pig is probably still doing good. Cree is doing okay. Pig is doing okay. Yen's doing okay. Dollar still slightly elevated, but doing okay. Bitcoin slowly buying its way back up. I'm really looking forward to take that mid band and buy up to the upper Bollinger. Apple is still holding strong. Let's check the VVIX this time really quick. Still hovering around that 104. I'm really not seeing the structure within SPY that's telling me that this is going to push downward a whole lot further. Um, really in here, there's nothing bearish formed yet. We have an inverse cup that's still pushing downward. Um, and then that's it. Generally, you'd look for a handle off this cup to push down further, but with how far this cup pushed down, I actually think it pushed it into a range where buyers are just going to buy it up. Again, I can be incorrect, but that's what I'm seeing so far. It just is very, very choppy. Seeing a lot of buying within NVIDIA. All the signals that we're really looking for, we're seeing so far. Other than, the VVIX, that's still very elevated. Really needs to come down. It would make a lot of sense for SPY to turn bearish in February. It is one of the most bearish months for the SPY, not just based off of last year, but historically. February is generally a very weak month for SPY slash tech in general. We have Nvidia looking like it wants to break the consolidation within the moving averages though today. Um, if that happens again, that would basically mean a close anywhere above the 20 mile at this point today. Um, the 5 mile will be above the 10 mile and 20 mile, which would put Nvidia bullish, which that's something we've been needing to see for a very long time. It's been stuck in this very, very, very strong consolidation range for a while. So really looking for Nvidia to break that consolidation range. Check Google. Google's still struggling a bit. Not what we want to see. DXY continuing to rise slightly. That's not a signal we want to see. Pig still holding its weight though. BVIX still elevated. Now this is looking like pretty good structure on the SPY right here. This is forming a cup and handle at the bottom of this consolidation channel, which very, very likely that's going to be trying to break out of it. So another strong signal what we're looking for, at least structurally. TLT structurally looks like it wants to break down slightly more, so that's good. Just need the VVIX to really break down. QQQ finally pulling back up a little bit more. Success finally pulling back up more. We do want to see pretty much all of tech break this 20 mile range to the upside. That'll tell us that this bounce that I'm expecting is really occurring and not just, you know, assumption, right? The ADL on this bounce is looking very strong as well. We're seeing the actual cup and handle within the ADL. Again, the ADLs is basically like a bank account. So if it's moving down, money is leaving the ETF. If it's moving up, then funds are being pushed into the ETF. So good signals overall. I do want to see the ADL pull up even higher. The VVIX continuing to drop. Our bounce is starting to look a lot better than what it was. That's for sure. Finally pulling above that consolidation range, but again, this can chop a little further. SOX starting to reclaim the middle Bollinger. QQQ starting to head towards its middle Bollinger, so that's great. Liquid is holding strong. IG is still buying upward, so that's good. FXY holding strong. DXY still slowly buying upward. That's not exactly what we want to see. Bitcoin still forming some support in here. As you can see, we do have a little bit of a cup and handle forming. So look for that to break out, reclaim that 20 ma. From that 20 ma, should be closing that cup up towards the upper Bollinger. Coin, we should be seeing a lot of that price action reflected in it as well. So again, that 160 still looks very, very good and reasonable. AMD, we talked about this at the 209, that this would very likely head back up to that 220. So I hope some of you guys grab some of those calls. There's a lot of profit to be had in those ones. I personally did not. I've just been focusing on monitoring what's going on. ES main, really looking for it to reclaim at 20 ma. Nvidia is just soaring. It's reclaiming a lot of the weight that it lost today. It should fill the cup back up to that 193. So sort of exactly what we are looking for on this cup and handle play on Nvidia. As you can see, it's still held that cup structure, even though we did have a sell downward today. So buying from that would continue out that cup. Micron is just doing fantastic. Cree is still a little shaky in here, but I'm still expecting it to see the upside. Let's check the SPY. SPY buying to the upside, so looking very strong. This is kind of exactly what we're wanting to see on top of this consolidation channel. We want to see buying, we want to see bullish structure build on top of that. TSM is doing good, which will mean that semiconductors are doing fantastic. We're reclaiming that 20 ma, so again, the bounce is looking very, very strong. BVIX pulling down to that 102 range. We need it to really dump down further. Okay, that's what we really need the VVIX to do right now. And Bitcoin still seeing that cup and handle playing out. Very likely start buying around that 20 ma range and push upward. AMD is just doing a 20 ma retest, should push upward towards the 220. IG still buying upward, that's very good. Let's check the Qs. UQQ, just doing a 20 ma retest, but again, that should push up above it and refill a lot of this lost weight today. BVIX still continuing to push down. All right, everything's looking good right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and take like a 5-minute break. If you have any questions so far, go ahead and type them in chat and I'd be happy to address them or look over any symbols or anything. But I'll be right back in about 5 minutes. All right, I am back. See what's going on. So the VVIX still chopping slightly. Let's check QQQ. Doing a cup and handle right here, so that looks fine. Let's check the SPY. Same ordeal, cup and handle. We really do want to see the handle pull us out of that um upper consolidation range though. TLT. I don't get these buys. I really don't. I've been tracking this thing for 4 or 5 years now. I don't get these buys. Does not make sense one bit. Um, yeah, I mean, even the treasury yield is going up. What are you guys doing? VIX still elevated. Oil is still just killing it right now. See, oil's concerning because once oil starts rising too high in prices, it starts bringing back inflation. Um, so it's very weird that we're seeing a rising oil with a rising TLT. It's just a lot of weird signals. But overall, we're still seeing a lot of bullishness within the market. We're seeing Bitcoin really starting to complete that cup and handle to the upside. So should reclaim a lot of that selling weight from the morning. Let's see. Coin still chopping, still expecting the buying upward. It's just going very slowly. DXY, it did pull up slightly, but pulling back down. That is a good signal. FXY still just doing the same thing. Gold is looking good. IG is still holding up. Junk is holding up. Liquid's holding up. Really would like to see Microsoft start buying up a little bit more. Um, that's a lot of market cap gone. Micron's still doing good. Nvidia's still doing good, forming a cup and a handle off of that 20 mall. QQQ still the same ordeal. Yeah, so what we're looking for now is a lot of these handles that have been built to break out. Overall, it is looking good. We are seeing a lot of tapering out of the VVIX. A whole $2 worth of tapering is quite a bit. May not seem like it when the VVIX moves so aggressively, but this is actively impacting how much people are having to pay on their insurance. So, looking fine. Starting to see the VIX cross below that 18 again, so that is good. Those SOX puts are probably up a ton. I need to check them. That means SOX is doing very well, forming that cup and handle. Starting to form the breakout on the handle, so that's exactly what we want to see. Same with the SPY and likely QQQ as well. Starting to get that out of QQQ. Let's check Microsoft. Again, really we want to see Microsoft regain a lot of weight. VVIX continuing to taper. All very good signals so far. Exactly what we want to see. And again, this is a big reason why I only really engaged in the scalps earlier on in the morning, or at least today, because I don't want to be trying to scalp through this chop. I don't want to be trying to navigate these smaller structures here. Now, if we can get the VVIX really pulling down and having a very, very large leg downward, that will give us some very quality entry into some 0 DTs on SPY, QQQ, SOX, for that upper Bollinger on the 5-minute time frame and to really refill a lot of that lost weight on the day. So wait on that. It's still not ready just yet, but it's getting very, very close. The only reason why I say wait, because I know people can say, oh, well, why didn't you just take the trade back at the 607 when it was at the lower Bollinger? Well, you're going to sit through a lot of chop. Your contract is going to get absolutely just destroyed during this time. And by the time you get to the move, yeah, your contract can be green. It can be making money, but it's just not a clean contract. If we get the cup and handle breakout here, we're not having to really deal with any structure. We're just playing the breakout to the upside. So, um, that's really what I look for scalps is very, very simple and easy trades. Something that I know I can engage in and, have very little risk to the downside. Still seeing a lot of great signals out of HIG, Liquid, FXY starting to climb back up again. That is definitely bullish. DXY climbing up though is not bullish. We don't want that to happen. So not exactly what we want to see here. We do want to see this pulling downward, but overall the DXY isn't as elevated as it has been. So we are getting the breakout on Bitcoin with the cup and handle there. So very likely coin should start benefiting from this quite a bit as well. AMD seeing the cup and handle needs the breakout though. Apple is still holding very strong. And I bet Nvidia is holding very strong too. Yeah, Nvidia is looking like that cup and handle breakout. Again, the end of the week contracts. Um, very, very strong for that. QQQ starting to look very good. With this 20 mile range on the 5-minute being hit, the upside is very large. However, we can break right back down. So if you do take this entry on a 0 DTE, you do have to understand that this can break down still. Okay. You really want to see that push upward and to reclaim that upper Bollinger. Everything's looking good on my end. Let's just double check the VVIX. We are seeing the VVIX continuing to pull down, so the scalp does look very safe, even within the SPY. We're seeing the breakout above the 20 MA. It's looking very good for that breakout into the upper Bollinger. So um, the scalps are definitely clean right now. If anybody is wanting to engage on those, Google is reclaiming some of its lost weight. Let's check Microsoft. Microsoft still chopping, but slowly regaining some of the lost weight. Again, we really want to see a lot more than what we're seeing right now. Let's check the Qs. Check SOX first. SOX is looking good. It looks like it wants to close the gap up to that 362. Um, Yeah, very good trade. I've been talking about that for most of the morning. This has looked very, very, very good today. QQQ starting to reclaim that weight. The SOX puts are doing very good. We did pretty much open it right at the top, so awesome on those. I haven't checked my contracts yet because they're on my phone, but I am positive those are up quite a bit. Let's check the VVIX one more time. Continuing to pull down, so the bounce is looking extremely strong, everybody. Again, we have not been seeing selling signals within the HIG. We've not been seeing selling signals within Liquid. We're really not seeing, a continuation to the selling so far. So far, it looks very, very strong. It looks like a lot of the upside weight wants to be reclaimed. Check TLT. We are getting some of that selling on TLT, which is good. Again, it still blows my mind that they even bought that. VVIX leg down again, so that's just continuation into the bullish thesis. Bitcoin still continuing to claim gaps to the upside. Coin starting to reflect that a little bit more. Cree starting to see some of this bullishness, which will translate into DPST as well. And I know I did talk about that, how those DPST contracts could be absolute hitters today. So very likely you're going to see a lot of this upside um, weight reclaimed all the way to the 143. The HIG is continuing to buy upward. Just check. QQQ still holding strong. SPY still holding very strong. And the VVIX still doing good. It did leg down to the 220 something, so it pulled up very slightly. Again, I kind of just attribute that to a lot of the market testing their 5 minute or their 5 minute time frame 20 mod bands. So likely that will shake down and pull down. Let's check. Semiconductors still doing great. VIX should underneath the 18 by now. It is. So the VIX is going exactly where we want it to. A lot of really good signals. A lot of really good signals to the upside. When calls, a few minutes ago, those calls on QQQ look very, very good. Still great entry range because this is a cup and handle breakout. With all the other signals we got going on, this is telling us that we still likely have a whole $5, $6 of upside on QQQ right now. So that's a massive scalp. I am personally taking the TQQQ calls for the end of the week rather than scalping on this, just because around this time, it starts to become a little harder for me to scalp as it's kind of the midday for me. I have to pay attention to things with my daughter and whatnot, so I'm not actively looking for scalps right now, even though if I was, there's so many of them that are just super, super strong right now. I mean, the majority of tech and semiconductors right now is just pretty much screaming that it wants that gap upward. So looks extremely strong for the scalps. EVIX still pulling down. We talked about how we really needed it at this 102, 101 range. We're now at the 102.19 or the 102.17. So we're getting exactly the price action we needed in here. By continuing to claim that support above that upper Bollinger Band, which is, exactly what we were wanting. QQQ doing the things that it is doing. DXY is pulling down slightly again. It did move up to the 97.10. Yeah, the cents don't matter a whole lot, but we do want the dollar moving down. FXY still going good. We had a little bit of downside, but still pulling back up. IG is starting to near green. That's good. Liquid is starting to get to that range of being in the green. So a lot of our signals are telling us that this upside is very good. SOX continuing to break out. SPY continuing to break out. VVIX should be continuing to melt. Still just holding that 102.20 range. VIX itself broke that 18. Yeah, a lot of good signals so far. And again, this is one of those days where I don't know, I'm not trying to like talk myself up or anything, but this is one of those really good streams too where we opened the day very bullish. We had not so bullish news. We caught the top of the short. Um, we did not short all the way to the bottom. That's entirely okay. We did get plenty of room on our shorts, so very happy with that. We saw this push below the lower Bollinger on the 5-minute time frame, so started to get into a very, very bearish stance on the day. We saw the VVIX climbing, we saw the HIG starting to drop, we saw liquid starting to drop, we saw the leg down in Bitcoin. So things were starting to turn very bearish all of a sudden. And it would make a lot of sense. We had news that just did not support bullishness. However, I still saw a lot of bullishness within the day. So we just went over all of our signals. We continued to go over our signals. We continued to check the FX pairings, continued to check the different instruments, and checked our ADL and whatnot to really secure this upside again. And so far, this upside's looking very good. We have cups and handles on pretty much the entirety of tech and semiconductors. So out of this stream, there should have been at least a total of three very, very solid trades so far. That should have been successful for each and every one of you if you followed along. Again, we're seeing the VVIX continuing to break down. So this is really what I do when I scalp and when I'm trading. I'm just always watching the signals. You never just see me watching the candles because the candles don't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. It's really about the whole economy, the whole pie. We can't just see one sector doing good or doing bad and base everything off of that. We really have to have a large picture of what's going on with tech, semiconductors, what's going on with volatility, what's going on with the treasuries, all of our different signals to really build a very, very clear picture of what's going on in the day. So hopefully the stream helped with that a little bit. It's really what I try to accomplish with these streams is to be able to secure very safe trades. Again, every single one of these trades we enter and exit, we talk about the entry and the exit before we even engage in the trade. So very simple in regards to that. And I really try to just make trading a simple process. Just continue to check your instruments, continue to make sure that your trades are going to be going the way that they're supposed to be going. Um, so yeah, hopefully the stream taught you all something. Not ending it quite yet, but I will be ending it soon. So if there is any questions or anything, now is a very great time. But yeah, I always just try to talk about all the different movements and everything I'm doing. And as you can see, there's really no hat tricks or anything to it. It's just monitoring the actual price action. Whether it's very bullish or extremely bearish, we always have the signals to be able to decipher where the true trend is going. SPY still looking very good in here. As long as we stay above this upper consolidation range on the SPY, that's really what we're looking for. Even if today doesn't see a lot of this gap closing to the upside, as long as we secure support above this consolidation channel, then that will help pull the daily 5 mile. Turn off the drawings, but it'll help pull this daily 5 mile above that consolidation range. And that's really what we're looking for, is to pull our supports above that range. Once we get the supports above that range, that really is suggesting that it wants to break out of that massive consolidation. So that's what we're trying to time. I know that I've been talking about a lot of these larger daily upper Bollinger moves lately that have just rejected, but you know, all about probabilities, and once we start getting back up to the upper Bollinger, we just have to prepare for it. Oh, absolutely. If SPY breaks this range that we're looking at, the 700 range is definitely within reason. Let's check the VVIX again. Still below this 20 mile on the 5 minute time frame. It can head back up, test that level, and push back down. I do think the large volatility is done for the day. I can be incorrect. Yesterday we did see volatility pick back up in the second half of the session, so um, again, just be prepared for that. It can happen, but just hedge your bets. We should be up throughout the majority of our positions. I'm going to check my stuff right now. Yeah, and I'm up in the majority of stuff. The only thing that I'm not up on yet is the 52 TQQ call. Um, I did DCA that just slightly, but I'm not too worried about that right this moment. Only down just a very, very small amount. If we get the push upward like we're expecting throughout the SPY, QQQ and everything, then those calls will hit very, very easily. Again, we want to really ensure that we build support on top of this consolidation channel. This can be a cup and handle, so not too worried about this downside price action right now. Our semiconductors are doing absolutely fine. Our tech is, hold on. Our tech's doing pretty fine. So I'm not too worried about any push downward from here. BVIX still slightly elevated, but it has been losing steam for the majority of the morning. Bitcoin still doing very well. And we would like to see that push back up to the 98.50, or not 98, 68. I get my numbers mixed up, I'm sorry. Liquid is starting to buy upward, so that is bullish. IG continuing to buy upward, that is bullish. Nvidia holding its strength, very likely forming a cup and handle here. We do have a micro cup right here, so we can form a micro cup, micro handle, push the upper Bollinger, very likely secure that 193. Kind of the same deal with QQQ, only except the 117. Now, I don't think it'll reclaim that whole weight today. I could be incorrect, but um, very likely it will consolidate upward towards that range and then work to close that gap, likely tomorrow or Friday. Semiconductors still going very well. Let's check our VVIX. VVIX still just holding that same weight still. Again, we really want to see this leg down pretty hard, so that would be the next major kind of indicator to look for is the major leg down or the major leg up within the VVIX to really determine if these cup handles are going to finish breaking out or not. Still don't understand this buying in TLT. Does not make a whole lot of sense right now. Seeing silver still doing good. Oil's up quite a bit today. Um, Usually not something I look for in terms of like a bearish or bullish signal, but when oil starts getting around that $80 a barrel plus, then I start looking at it as more of a bearish signal because that's when it starts adding to inflation, adding to larger gas prices and all that stuff that we don't like. Pre is still doing well. Liquid's still buying upwards, so that's very good. Very positive for equities. The RSP, which is the basically the SPY equal weight, um, has been buying upward. So again, another good signal. Just really need to see the VVIX leg down. That's really what we're looking for right now. QQQ still building support. SPY still doing very well, building support. USD JPY still pulling downward, which is bullish. Our WTI is doing very, very well. We entered this around 1.8 a share. I really wanted the 1.5 or 1.3, but missed those opportunities. However, we're still, nearly up 80 cents a share. SPY doing well. We really should see this leg down in the volatility very soon here. Semiconductors still holding up. So on the 5-minute time frame throughout tech and semiconductors right now, this 20-minute band or the 20 mod band is super, super crucial. Um, we really do want to stay above that. We can pull below these very slightly, but ideally we do want to be trading above these for the majority of the rest of the day if we're expecting the bullishness, of course, which I do. I do expect bullishness. I do expect large buying on the day, even though it has been a little shaky. check our FX pairings. Dollar pulling down. That looks great. Yen is pulling upward. That looks great. Also, if you got those 60 calls back a few months ago when I did, you are now in the money. Gold is doing well. Pig is doing well. Free, I want to see do more. LMT, pretty large weight has gone into that, surprising. So that is some of that defensive weight we're seeing there. And QQQ looks good. Yeah, really just need the VVIX to leg down. Just a little bit of a leg down, but not too much yet. We want far more. Again, we really want to see the majority of the indices regain a lot of their lost weight on the day. It's not like we just want to end barely green. We want to see a lot of this selling weight regained. QQQ is starting to look good for some of those 0 DT calls. Really trying to time it with VIX having a major leg down, or the VVIX. SPY is starting to break out again though. That's looking great. QQQ is looking great. The HIG is looking very good. Seeing a lot of buys within the actual time and sales. Bitcoin is still not where we want it. DXY is still pulling down. Should strengthen Bitcoin. Liquid has been buying upward. That should strengthen equities. Nvidia has been holding its weight very well. SOX is back up on the buy. And there is a little bit of a leg down. Again, we really do want to see this pushing below the 102, 101. Ideally, we want this below the 98 today, and it can happen. The VIX or the VVIX can move very aggressively. I've seen it move over $30 in a day. So it can move very quickly. If people are going to start buying, then we can absolutely see this push to that 98 range. The TQQ calls are green now. They should be green for you guys as well. QQQ is going good. Cree is going good. Everything is looking very good so far. We do want to see Bitcoin buying up further. And we do want to see, again, the VVIX really dropping down. We really want to see this dropping below that 101. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the stream probably in the next 5 minutes, just because I do have to get some things done for my daughter, before I pick her up today. However, again, the market looks very bullish to me. We did have some volatility. I do believe we're out of the volatility for the most part, but just make sure you're watching the VVIX. You can watch it on Webull. You can watch it on TradingView. I believe maybe even CNN might have it. Just Googling it. So make sure you're watching the VVIX. It's one of the most important instruments, at least in my opinion, because this is tracking the very, very big money compared to the VIX. The VIX can track retail money, can track institutional money, can track all sorts of money. The VVIX is only going to be tracking very large institutional money. So if they're having to hedge their positions, the VVIX will be going up because this is a form of insurance, not just a hedge. So they buy this to insure their positions. When this when this starts dropping weight, that means the big money is reducing their insurance on those positions. The insurance premium is actively dropping, which tells me that very, very likely the volatility for the day is done. Um, Again, that can swing back upward, but so far it looks like the day has been claimed by the bulls. We see the cups and handles starting to have their breakouts throughout tech, throughout semiconductors. Hold on. Throughout semiconductors, throughout QQQ, throughout QQQ. And we just really do want to see the VVIX leg down very hard. And I want to check TLT again. I really don't understand this TLT buying. For me, this is very concerning because TLT can be a long-term hedge. Um, Granted, I know I talk about TLT a lot, and I do kind of suggest people having at least 10 to 20% of their portfolio within treasuries. However, um, this wasn't the type of news today to be buying the 20-year bond on at all. This is the type of news to be selling the 20-year bond on. So it's a little weird to be seeing this buying. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now. But out of anything on the day, it's really just seeing the treasuries, seeing the buying. That doesn't make sense. Everything else, again, we did expect the top of the cups to create handles downwards, so it wasn't like we didn't anticipate that early morning selling. Exactly what we were looking for. Just it did sell a lot further below than what we were anticipating. The treasury yields pulling downward on the 10-year, so that is bullish. VVIX still continuing to lose weight. Again, we do want to see a lot more loss than that. Let's just check the DXY pulling down, exactly what we want to see. FXY continuing upward, exactly what we want to see. IG is buying upward, so this is saying high yield corporate credit or corporate bonds are, turning bullish again. That means very likely the equity side will be turning bullish as well. Seeing that reflected within liquid in the investment grade bonds as well. Micron has just been soaring. QQQ still chopping a little bit, but it does look like bullish chop rather than trying to create bearish structure. Same thing here with semiconductors. Same thing here with the SPY. Yeah, I fully really anticipate a leg upward to reclaim a majority of the lost weight. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it. We did get an additional leg down within the VVIX as well. So again, all bullish signals we're looking for. I know today was a little bit tricky, but again, hopefully this VOD helps because we did navigate that trickiness very, very well today, I believe. I would like to see Bitcoin reclaim that 68K. I do think that would be bullish for the market. And Continuing to see VVIX drop, so that's good. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream here, everybody. Um, Again, thank you for tuning in. I apologize the stream was late today. I not only missed my alarm, I had a lot of my cords that I needed moved in the wrong place, so I was trying to sit here and find an outlet and everything to plug my laptop in and set up the computer and everything. So I apologize for the late stream. Tomorrow I will be on at 5 a.m. Well, not 5 a.m. 8 p.m. for you guys, or 8 a.m. for you guys. I mean, 5 a.m. for me. Um, I will be putting a video out tonight. I did not get to one last night as I just pretty much crashed after 4 p.m. Generally, I try to do the video around 5 p.m. So by the time I woke up, it was already like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. QQQ still looking good. I still looking good. The VVIX still looking good. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. Um, Thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions or anything, please, please, please make sure you post it in the comment in the video. I'd be more than happy to go over it. A lot of these streams I'm going to be trying to chop up later on to create, um, really guided lessons on how to structurally do scalps from very easy positions to very hard positions. So there's a lot I want to do. I know I've been saying this for the last year and a half now, but there's so much I want to bring to you guys in terms of content, in terms of videos, readings, classes. Um, my fatigue has really just made that next to impossible, but it is getting better. I am starting to work on this a lot more, so I really do look forward to bringing all that sort of content for you guys. So yeah, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you for watching. I hope every one of you were able to have some great trades today, and I will talk to you in tonight's video or